If I could have everybody's attention here in the Media Center, we will go ahead with our pre-race media availability for tomorrow's Kansas Lottery 300. And it's my pleasure now to be joined by Daniel Suarez, driver of the number 19 ARRIS Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Daniel, you enter this round of 8 in the NASCAR XFINITY Series chase as the top seed, but big story here. You got to go to the White House this week. Could you walk us through that trip, and how was that experience for you?
Yeah, it was a cool experience. It was a good week. It was really cool to be for the first time in the White House and to be able to talk to some kids from college, from high school, and to give them an advice. I think that was something really good, and to do it in the Hispanic Heritage Month. I think that's something really cool as well. You know, for me, just it's just a great honor to be in this position right now and to be able to be in NASCAR and not really to be a Latin driver and to be able to help or to try to help all these kids that are coming along from school, from college, from all these different places, obviously to be successful in life.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you here. If you have a question for Daniel, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Kenny and come up front to Sean.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Daniel, you were one of 2 drivers, 2 Xfinity Series regulars to get a win in the first round. What did you learn in that first round that maybe will help you guys, since this is the first year you guys have actually gone through a chase scenario?
Well, I learned that in the first race of the first round, the intensity level, it was very high. It was definitely more high than what I was expecting. I thought that everyone was going to go out there to try to be smart, to be consistent, and to try to make it for the next round. And that wasn't the case. Everyone was going for the win, and everything got a little crazy on the first race in Kentucky. But honestly, I'm very proud of everyone in the 19 ARRIS Toyota Camry, Juniper, Intercept batteries, the Walt, everyone that has been on this program in the last races, because everyone has been doing a really good job. We had 3 races with 3 top 3s finishes, which I think is something really good for the first round. We have to do exactly the same thing for the second round, and after that, try to put ourselves in a good position for Homestead and put everything we have for that last race and the most important race of the year.
The intensity level of that first race at Kentucky, did you feel like that carried over into the other races? And do you think maybe the first race of this round will be similar to that?
I think it will. For some reason, I thought that everyone was going to be more relaxed on the first race, but for some reason, everyone was very, like I said, the intensity level was very high. And then for the second race that it was lower, everyone was more relaxed because everyone was a little bit too crazy in the first one. So I won't be surprised if it's the same on this second round. I don't think that I don't think that I got super crazy in Kentucky, and we end up with a pretty good result. Actually, I feel like we should have won that race. We just came 1 lap short. But like I said, I'm very proud of my team. I felt like everything that we learned in the whole year, we are trying to put that in the most important part of the year, that is the chase in the first round and the second round, and obviously the last race in Homestead. And so far, it's been working out. So hopefully, we can keep it up and move forward.
Come up front to Sean.
Sean Roney, Dos Mundos newspaper here in Kansas City. Daniel, I mean, with what you've achieved, visiting the White House, being the first Mexican-born driver to win a national NASCAR race, et cetera, I mean, there's obviously a lot of pressure on you to continue to perform at a high level. Just how are you managing to cope with the extra pressure that's on you?
Well, I think, I have had pressure in all my life since I got in racing. I think if you can handle pressure, I think you're in the wrong sport. When I was little, my family didn't have a lot of money to put me in racing, so So I knew that I needed to do well to be able to get a sponsor for the next race. I had a lot of pressure back then, so I think that, like I said, I have had pressure all my life, and for me right now to have a little pressure here in the NASCAR XFINITY Series is not a big deal. I'm very used to that, and that's something normal for me.
Go next to Brian, and then back to Jerry.
Brian Eberly, Motorsports Tribune. Daniel, when you look at the three tracks in this round of the chase here, Texas and Phoenix, what one do you think will be kind of the most difficult or challenging, maybe a little bit of a wild card, and which one are you most confident going into?
Well, this is something good for me, personal. That if we look all the races from the chase, first round, second round, and Homestead, all these racetracks are pretty good racetracks for me. Kansas is one of those racetracks that I've been here just once last year. In Homestead, I'm pretty much in the same situation because we don't get to go to these places a lot, just once every year. Since last year was my first year in the National Series, so really was my first time. But I feel pretty good. Phoenix has been a really good place for me as well. Sometimes I call Phoenix like my second home because a lot of people are very, very nice people over there, and the racetrack is really good. I won a race there in the NASCAR Mexico Series, and it's been really good for me. Texas obviously is really good as well. A lot of family goes to that race, and we were pretty successful there. And here in Kansas, we raced really strong last year here. So I think we have. I think in personal, I feel like a little lucky that almost all the races that we have in the chase are strong races for me and for my team. So I feel pretty good for all of them. Hopefully we can have a little luck in our side and do our thing in the racetrack.
Okay, we're going to go to Jerry, and then to Chris, and then back up front to Sean.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires and Performance Racing Network. You talked about the intensity of the first round and then what you expect for the second round. How do you strategize that in the car? How do you go out there and race like a crazy man, or do you go out there and methodically pick off laps? When do you know to do what you need to do to get to the front?
So that's the difficult thing, that you never know. You have to understand that you are racing for a championship. You are racing for the big picture, and that's what some drivers forgot in Kentucky, and they end up wrecking. So that's never a good thing. I was almost in a few wrecks. Well, I was in one of them, but I survived. And that's something that we have to keep in mind the whole time, because if you forgot that for 1 second, maybe that second it was the most important, and you get into a wreck. You need to be aggressive when you need to be aggressive, but when you are a little bit more than what you should, you can get into an accident, and that can cost you a lot in the championship. Maybe one of the perfect examples is the 3 team. They didn't make it for the next round, and definitely they were a strong team to be contending for the championship. So that's the consequences that can happen if you get a little bit too crazy. I feel like I said, I feel like we've been doing a good job with that. We've been pretty consistent, not just in the chase, but the whole year, and that's something that we have to keep doing.
Go to Chris Knight, and then up to Sean again.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Daniel, with your success in the Xfinity Series this year, how much of an advantage is the Truck Series going to come into play, especially as you get deeper into this chase scenario? I think you're expected to run Texas, Phoenix, Homestead, and Trucks.
Well, for some reason, this year has been very different for me to race the trucks and the Xfinity car. I feel like last year helped me a lot because I was a brand new driver pretty much in most of the racetracks. This year, I don't think it's been as helpful as last year, but definitely there is always something there that you can learn about the racetrack. The racetrack changes every year, so if you can learn about a new bump that is over there, a new seam that is on the racetrack or something, that is always good to have some extra laps. The balance of the truck versus the car is very, very different. Aero-wise is very different. The way that KBM works is very different than the way JGR works. So, it's different. I feel like it's going to be helpful for sure, but I don't think it's going to be as helpful as everything was last year for me personally.
Sean?
Daniel, on local sports talk radio the other day, there was some talk about the playoff format in NASCAR, and that when it was introduced, there was kind of some grumbling about it in the racing community, but drivers have come to embrace it and accept it. What is it about this format, the chase format, that appeals to you?
Well, I think everything is about the intensity and how comes into the play to be a smart driver and aggressive driver at the same time. I think fans love that. I think fans love the way that that the format changed everything so many different times, and that's something good. I think we come through adversity on this kind of format, and we have to learn from this. I think I mentioned this last year. Since we have in the Cup Series this format, the Chase format, I think that was something very smart from NASCAR to put this format as well in the Xfinity Series and Truck Series, because eventually young drivers want to move up to the Cup Series. So we're going to start learning about this format. We're going to start learning about how to work, how aggressive we need to be, or how smooth we need to be, since the lower divisions like the Trucks and Xfinity Series. Because once we get the opportunity to move to Cup one day, we are going to be already very familiar with the format, with the Chase format.
Good deal. Well, Daniel, I really appreciate taking the time to join us, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Folks, it's now my pleasure to welcome to the stage the only Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver to receive a good night of sleep this week, and that's Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmie, you got the win last week at Charlotte. You punched your ticket into the round of 8 in the Chase. Does that seventh championship, does that seem a more realistic possibility to you now?
Yeah, it's definitely more realistic because we're alive and transferring to the round of 8. There's still so much racing between now and then. We've had some consistent runs, so definitely building confidence in that. The victory is a huge boost. There's no way around that for myself, my crew members, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. So we're definitely building momentum at the right time. It's probably later than we would have liked, but at least it's going in the right direction. And we'll see where it goes from here. We clearly are in that round of 8, but man, this Chase, I think some felt like it got off to a calm start, and then last weekend with half the chasers having issues in the race, I think it just shows anything can happen. And the guys that are living it, day in and day out, we don't take it for granted, and I'm certainly not taking it for granted, and don't think that I'm in a layup situation for Homestead by any stretch. So we need to make sure we are part of that Final Four, and there's a lot of work between now and then.
Okay, we'll open the floor up for questions. If you have questions, we'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start with Kenny and go to Nick.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Jimmie, since they started this elimination style format, I think we've had 2 instances of guys winning multiple races in a round. Joey won all 3 in the second round last year. Martin won 2 of 3 in the first round this year. I would think that if you win the first race in a round, then you're more apt to win again in that round because you have nothing to lose. You can gamble if you need to. You can go for it. But that doesn't seem like that's been the case. Is that not the approach?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the approach, but you just can't take for granted how difficult it is to win in our sport. Secondly, I think there are certain tracks that fit certain companies and certain styles that drivers might have or crew chief might have. So, I think that's a big player as well. In this elimination round, you could look at a team that has fast mile-and-a-half cars and think that they're a favorite for the first 2, but Talladega, you have no clue what's going to happen there. So then in the final or the next round, you have a short track and some big tracks. So it's just tough. I think it's real hard to favor or pick a favorite for somebody that could win all 3 or win multiple times.
Do you go into these next 2 races like with nothing to lose attitude, or do you guys are you like, okay, we'll run these races, whatever happens, but we'll focus on the next one?
I think we're going to take them as they come. If we have troubles early in either of them, it'll be easy to just brush it off and say, hey, we're locked in, we'll move on. But ideally, I want to keep the pressure on our team. I want us to have more exposure to race-winning pressure, championship pressure. I feel that makes everybody stronger on the race team. And there's trophies to go get, and I want more trophies this year, without a doubt. So we're showing up with the normal mindset. I think it would be smart for us to not change anything and take the pressure off of ourselves. You've got to be at 10/10 for these final races.
We'll go to Nick and then to Nate.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. I'm assuming you have an inkling, heading into the chase, hey, we're going to have a little performance bump coming in. But through the first 4 races, you and Chase leading a bunch of laps, showing the speed, has it been a little surprising to you, saying, oh, wow, we really are fast. This is really good heading to the last 6?
I wouldn't say surprising. It's tough because we try to show our optimism through interviews and social posts that we might make. And I think if you look back over the course of the last few months, our comments have all been directionally optimistic and been building speed. And then to not close on a couple events that we led a lot of laps at the start of the chase, I think that finally showed everybody that we weren't just BSing them and that we really did have the speed. To us, it was frustrating that we didn't close and we didn't execute like we needed to. And then Charlotte, we did so. So for the 48 team, that's kind of been the progression and the way things have gone. And it was real nice to have a clean, solid race in Charlotte and get the win.
We'll go next to Nate, then to Lee, and then to Brandt.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. I have 2 real quick, just to follow up on Kenny's question, Jimmie. You haven't really been in this position before where you're guaranteed advancement and can essentially help your teammates the next 2 races. Will you be Chase's wingman at Talladega, or are there things you can do to help him a little bit here even that might get him to the next round?
Yeah, I think from an on-track standpoint, Talladega is about the only place I could help him and could work with him. We want to win the race here and do all that we can, and if we can, of course, we want the 24 too. And they need to have a great day. But if there's a duel at the end of the race between us and the 24, I'm here to win the race. I mean, that's. I think Chase and Alan. I know for a fact Chase and Alan would expect us to do that. So there's not much we can do here other than the prep that we've had leading into this week, and how awesome our teams have been working together, and the ground we have covered in a short period of time. So that element is still there, still going on. We've all been leaning on each other tremendously, so that will all still be there. But come race time, we still have to race. And in Talladega is probably the only place I can help them.
And secondly, NASCAR distributed 2017 proposed rules, probably be official after the season finale. Have you had a chance to look at them? And I guess 2 things that I'm curious about: the spoiler reduction and biometrics for the drivers. I was wondering if you had any reaction to both of those.
Yeah, we're all wanting slower center of corner speeds. We all feel that will put on a better race. The slower the center of corner speed is, the more off throttle time we create, the more opportunities there are to pass, the more opportunities there are to make mistakes, the more opportunities you have to work on the handling of your race car. So directionally, that's the way the sport's going. I think the smaller spoiler is going to help us. We saw a nice improvement, across all matrices with the 16 package, and 17 is another step of that. I'll be here Monday testing the 17 package and get a real good feel for it. And then biometrics, I think it's cool to show, and it's another talking point. And I think the broadcast booth could, and then how it's integrated into maybe the NASCAR app and things could be really cool, and something else for the fans to see.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Was there an awkward feeling for a 6-time champion? Did you at any point feel irrelevant when you were knocked out of the chase so early and not be there with the best of the best competing more so for the title than, just every week competing for the race itself?
No, I didn't feel irrelevant. I mean, disappointed, especially last year the way that it happened, but I didn't feel like I was, if we ran well, we got the attention we deserved. It was unfortunate we didn't have a chance to win the championship, but or have a shot at the championship. But I didn't feel like I think I've heard second-class citizen used before. I didn't feel any of that took place. I mean, if you still go out there and run well and run up front, you're going to get all the exposure that you and your team need and deserve. But yeah, I didn't feel that way.
And secondly, losing Stewart-Haas Racing next year, do you think Hendrick Motorsports needs to actively recruit another organization of that caliber to give you the extra data and things, or do you think that Hendrick is strong enough on its own to persevere?
You know, that environment's tricky. Just to be selfishly speaking of Hendrick Motorsports, you know, the Stewart-Haas relationship, we didn't get their data. We didn't share their data. They had ours. So it was a fantastic situation for them. They had our best stuff, and then they have a huge engineering staff, and they can take Hendrick's best equipment and refine it and make it better. I think the Gibbs Group's going to be experiencing, and has been experiencing that with the Furniture Row side. You know, before Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick were at Stewart-Haas, worked pretty good for us. We had a bunch of income for the company, didn't have to worry about racing for wins or championships against the Stewart-Haas equipment. But those guys changed the game, and you bring in Kurt Busch and Tony himself and all that's there, and you know, you start questioning the relationship and if it really is the right thing. You know, especially with us not sharing the data. I mean, there were some things going on that were helpful, and data was moving around a little bit, but they really had all the rights to our stuff. We didn't have the rights to theirs. So it's tricky. If Mr. Hendrick can raise the money to not have that relationship, I think for us, selfishly, it's better not to. We would always like to have some people running our engines and trying to do durability stuff on new motors that are coming out. So I would imagine having a couple of cars out there, we'll always have that. But you know, a team at that high caliber again, I believe we'd look really hard before we made that decision again. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go up front to Brant and then to the back to Randy.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. Even considering you and your team had great success before this version of the chase and some huge runs in the fall, did this version require some sort of rethink on how you approach weekends and segments and just a different way to maybe break it down and digest it differently?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. And I mean, every year, that's only been 3, but every situation's been different for me. So I've invested a lot of time in thinking, which is hard for me to do, as those of you that know me well. I'm not very good at thinking. And it's all been wasted energy because you have no clue what's going to happen. And you know, you worry about yourself, but then if others have trouble, when they have trouble, it is chaos to be in. When the first round starts, when there's 16, sure, you worry about points. But as each round goes by, you know, one mistake, and I'm so glad I'm not one of the teams that had trouble at Charlotte. You know, it's just tough, and there is no clear-cut path to be one of the Final Four at Homestead.
Okay, we'll go next to Randy.
Jimmie, Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. How are you? Speaking of Stewart-Haas, this is Tony Stewart's farewell here, where he's won twice, and just as a fellow champion, just frame what Tony's meant to this sport, to this series, as a competitor, as a confrontational character as well. Just kind of write for me Tony's epitaph.
He's kept it exciting. Doesn't matter who you are. You know, the competitor on track is fierce, extremely talented. You know, I look at him as a guy that is like the A.J. Foyt or Pernelli Jones of our era, that's raced anything and everything and has won races and championships and everything. It takes such a talent to do that. I can't imagine between open wheel and NASCAR to be able to find that last tenth to be a race winner. What detail goes into that, and I think it speaks to his skill sets. He's going to be missed. I'm thankful he's going to be around. I know that the motorsports in general is going to benefit now that his focus just isn't on driving, you know, with all the other interests he has in racing. But he's a fierce competitor, an amazing friend, especially when you get the helmet off of him. You can go from wanting to kill each other on the racetrack to crash each other on the racetrack to being best of friends. And I've certainly experienced that. I've been in the NASCAR trailer with him after we've run each other over. After the checkered flag came out of the Daytona 500, and 2 days later he's bringing me a pizza to my motorhome. So he's definitely a fierce competitor and a lot of fun to be around.
Good deal. Well, Jimmie, thanks for taking the time to join us this morning, and good luck this weekend.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
We will continue on with our media availability for Sunday's Hollywood Casino 400. We're now joined by Martin Truex Jr., driver of the number 78 Bass Pro Shops Tracker Boats Toyota for Furniture Row Racing. Martin, big accomplishment for you this weekend, your 400th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series start. What's that mean to you?
Well, I didn't even know about it till Ferroni told me 2-3 days ago and asked me what I thought about it. So it was kind of a wow moment for me. It's obviously a big deal, but it's hard to believe that many races have went by so fast. I feel like just yesterday I started my Cup career, so it's very cool. I'm very proud to be around for this long, and even more proud that some of our best days have been here lately, and hopefully we can keep that going for a long time.
Awesome. We'll start with Randy, and then we'll work to Claire. Can we get Randy a microphone?
Martin, Randy Kovich, Kansas City Star. You've done everything here at this track but win.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to tell you the heartache you've had, 173 laps, 170. So what's your attitude coming here? Does it spook you coming here, or does it give you confidence that this is the breakthrough win?
Yeah, I definitely get a positive vibe coming here, positive feeling that, we've been so close. We've done just about everything here but win, and I feel like it's time for us to make that happen. I don't think there's ever been a time where I've come here more confident. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how the weekend goes and seeing if we can finally close the deal here. I feel like we can do it, and just ready to go out there and give it a shot.
Go to Claire and then to Kenny.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Your team not testing at Homestead this coming week. A lot of conversation about that. Team statement that if you were to save the energy, or the team's going to work on getting into the next round and progressing on. Can you talk about that decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot that's went into it. We actually skipped Chicago test as well, went there and won. So, I mean, that certainly plays into the decision a bit. I think for us, it's just been, being in Denver. Homestead's a long way from Denver. Just trying to make sure we're focused on the right things. We feel like testing, honestly, has not really done anything to help us along. We feel like our time is better spent at the shop, getting prepared. Just seems like every time we've tested this year, we've gone to the racetrack and spent the first day and a half trying to regroup and figure out where we need to be. So it seems like it's probably hurt us more than helped us, and it's just kind of our mindset going forward that we feel like we'll be better off if we don't go.
Will you get enough information then from the liaison team of Dibs? If you get enough from them that you really don't have to go, or will you miss a chunk of it that you guys will make up?
Well, I think we'll get certain information from TRD and tire data and things like that, and then it's just about filtering through it and making sure that you run the sim properly and have the right kind of mindset or outlook going into the racetrack of what to expect and what you think you're going to need to do. So I think we'll be just fine. Obviously, it's worked for us in the past here lately, and especially, and again, just team feels like that's the best way to go for us, and they've done a good job of making good decisions this year. I'm not going to question it.
Go to Kenny and then to Nate.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Martin, you're one of only 2 drivers to have multiple wins in a round in the chase. What did winning that first win at Chicago that you mentioned, what did that do for you guys going forward?
The first win was huge. I mean, it just that relief, that feeling of relief. Okay, now the next 2 weeks we just go out and try to win, and icing on the cake, so to speak. So it was a huge confidence booster for us. I mean, we had just those few weeks leading up to the chase, we felt really good about our program. We felt really good about where we were. I felt like we were doing everything right, and to go in there in Chicago and prove it, not only to everybody else but to ourselves that we are here, we're serious, we can get after this championship. It was a big step for us. So the first round went awesome. Last week obviously didn't go as well as we would have liked. You had a little issue there, part failure at the end of the race. But aside from that, I think that the team has done a great job. We've had a lot of confidence, momentum, and really just been solid and consistent and not made mistakes, and that's what it's going to take. So we've got some work to do this weekend to get back to where we want to be, but feel great about coming here to Kansas and what we've been able to do here in the past. Hopefully with, the position we're in now, we can take advantage of, all the things that we've been doing well and finally close the deal here at Kansas.
Did it surprise you that you were able to win 2 of the 3, knowing that those other guys, win to be able to meet, they were automatically advanced and kind of ratchet things up a little bit?
It didn't surprise me that we won, I don't think. I mean, we had, like I said, we had a lot of confidence going in there. I mean, just, Richmond and Darlington and those races just really gave us a good, pep in our step and a good feeling leading into the chase and a good attitude. And, we just kind of went out there and did our thing and turned it into 2 victories. So, it felt like we almost could have won all 3 races of the first round. And that was just, that's a huge accomplishment for us, after last year going throughout the chase and not having any wins and making it to the Final 4. It gave us a lot of confidence that, if we can continue to be smart and do the things that we know how to do, we can get far in this thing. But at the same time, it's, you go to the next round, everything's back to 0, and you have a bad race, and all of a sudden your attitude changes to, holy crap, what just happened? Just a week ago we were the points leader. So anything can happen. You got to stay focused. I think we've got the right attitude, and we've certainly got the speed to get it done. We just need to make sure we make it happen.
Okay, we're going to go to Nate, then to Lee, and then to Randy.
Thought it was working there for a minute.
Yeah. Hello. Okay. It's a lot of build-up for a question. Will certainly
be a
not
good
meet the
one.
build-up. Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Following up on Claire's question, Martin, about the decision not to test Homestead. Is that something that you guys decide collectively as a group, or is it something where they solicit your opinion and then Joe Garone and Cole Pern kind of make that decision? And did you, if it was up to you, would you have wanted to test regardless?
We were kind of on the fence with it for a while, trying to just, it was just kind of sitting there all the time, and we'd talk about it a little bit, and then we'd move on, and we'd, wait and talk about it a couple weeks down the road. It just seemed like every time we talked about it, it was like, I don't know that, I don't really think we should do it. I think we should, continue to focus on the things that we've been doing. And, ultimately, I think Cole made the decision to say, all right, that's it, we're not going to do it. And he feels good about that. So I'm with him. I think he's making the right decision. We went to Homestead and tested the last 2 years and went back for the race, and we were awful. It gives you a false sense of security when you go to a test like that, a month ahead of the race. Weather's completely different, and you feel like you're good. You go back to the racetrack, and it's completely different, and then you're like, you don't know what to do. You don't know what direction to head. You feel like you kind of get set in your ways a bit when you go to a test and it goes well. So it's good for us just to go in there and wing it, and to do it the way we've done all year without testing. And we have tested a lot, but some of our worst races this year have been after tests, believe it or not. So it's an interesting thing, but I think we're making the right decision, but we won't know till Homestead.
We'll go to Lee, then to Randy, the Brant, and then we'll finish in the back with David.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. What did you learn last year going to the final round that you're going to take with you this season that'll make you a more all-around, well-rounded team?
I think we learned, most importantly, that we were capable of it, and that it's really important to be consistent. Again, winning's great. We all want to get locked into the next round because it makes you feel good, and you don't have to worry about having that bad race or something bad taking you out of the chase, like we've seen happen to people last year, or even last week, for that matter. So it takes a lot of the anxiety out of your weeks leading up to the races. But at the end of the day, if you can just be consistent, be smart, you can point your way into getting to Homestead, and that's what we were able to do last year. At the same time, you have to be able to have the speed. You have to be able to win, because if you go to Homestead and you don't have the capability to win, you're not going to win the championship. So we learned a little bit about both sides of that, I think, last year that so far I feel like has helped us. But overall, I think just confidence in the team and each other, not letting that pressure get to everybody. I think everybody's just doing a really good job of, keeping the right mindset. and not letting the pressure get to them. That's probably the biggest thing we learned last year, just because it's, you know, when you get to those cutoff races or you're at Talladega, you know, in a cutoff round and you're right there hovering around the bubble, it's a very stressful weekend. So I think that our guys got a good taste of that last year and did a good job with dealing with it.
Next to Randy.
Yeah, Martin, it's Randy again. Hey, talk about Denver, being that you're the one outlier, not in Charlotte. Just talk about for your team and your sponsor and everything, what does this race mean to you guys? And has that even added to the frustration of the last few years here?
The frustration's not really changed over the years. It's always been a difficult place for us to just, you know, like we said, we've been so close. But, you know, for Barney, for our team, this is the closest racetrack to Denver, Colorado. So this is kind of their home track. And we get a lot of fans from Colorado that say, hey, we came out from Denver to support the team, which is awesome. We get a lot of that here. And, you know, it's the shortest trip for Barney to come on Sunday, and usually brings the bigger part of his family here than he does at most places. So yeah, it's great for those guys that you know, don't get to come to the racetrack all the time, but it's cool for a lot of our fans from out in Colorado and west of the Mississippi to get to a race to support their team.
Next to Brant.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. All careers have crossroads or forks or whatever cliche you want to use, and yours is no different. As you hit 400 and you're trying to win a championship, are there any in particular you look back on and think, that's pretty wild that I got from there to here?
There's a few big ones. I mean, obviously, 2013 after Richmond, that was, you know, that was probably the big one, which ultimately led me to this team that I'm at today. You know, there was a point in time there, Monday or Tuesday after Richmond, I was like worried if I'd ever get to race again. You know, you never know in this sport. It was so late in the season, you don't know what rides are open, all that stuff, and you know, to be sitting here just a few years later going for a championship is pretty amazing. So as bad as that week was, it led into some really good opportunities, and when bad things happen, you never really know what the future holds for you. And I just feel fortunate to be here and have another shot at it, and hopefully we'll take advantage of it.
David Scott with the Charlotte Observer. You touched on this a minute ago, but with Talladega on the horizon, all that can happen there, how urgent is it for you to win here and not have to worry about all that next week?
Well, we really would like to come out of here with a win. I mean, I think everybody would. It sure would make next weekend a lot more fun. I think the only one that's not worried about Talladega right now is Jimmie Johnson and his team, obviously. So it's not a must-win, obviously. I mean, we're in decent shape, but Talladega, you never know. I mean, you could very easily finish 40th there. You know, anybody could. So we'll just have to see. I mean, we'll do it all we can do. That's, you know, we're gonna do the best job we can this weekend and hope to have a shot at winning, and you know, hopefully we can get it done. But if we don't, we'll go to Talladega and race hard and hope for the best. But there's no guarantees. I mean, it's up in the air for everybody, and that's part of racing. That's part of this chase.
Well, Martin, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
We get to see you in a 400. If I could have your attention here in the media center, we are now joined by Brendan Gaughan, driver of the number 62 South Point Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing, a member of the round of 8 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series chase. You got through Charlotte, you got into this round of 8, then you had some cleanup duty at home, it looked like, as I saw on Facebook.
Yeah, the hurricane last week, my son's birthday was Tuesday, but the party was on Saturday. And so I was in quite a bit of trouble because I was not able to be home for the birthday party. And my wife reminded me quite often that it was my duty to make sure that it was time to clean. They were washable markers, just so you know. It was washable markers on the wall. They did not use, Sharpie. So, but I'm not going to say it's clean yet.
Good deal. We'll open the floor for questions. We'll start with Lee and then go to Kenny.
Hey there. Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. How cool is it that you and Elliott Sadler are in this round? Because, so many times throughout your career, you guys have heard, oh, the young guns this, the young guns that, but here it is, the more mature guys that have a lot of
More mature.
lot of experience are, right there fighting till the end?
More maturely. We're dancing around a lot of ways to call me and Elliott old. Understood. Thank you. No, Elliott and I at one point were young guns. I mean, we were those guys, and that was 20 years ago. So it's nice. We've killed the bell curve on the average age, but if you look at it with Blake Cook still being there, he's over 30. It's 3 guys over 30 and 5 guys under 30. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, Elliott and I both are having a good time with it. We both are still enjoying being competitive, and I know I'm very happy with what has been able to happen to me at RCR. And I would not mind if one of these young kids had to wait one more year to make their name here. That wouldn't bother me. I would love to be able to ruin that for somebody, because they have plenty of years left to continue making their name. So if we can do that, I'd be very, very happy.
Kenny?
What did you guys learn in the first round?
One thing we learned was organizationally, make sure we're prepared. That's one thing that we have to do, is come prepared every week and dot those, I's and cross those T's, so to speak, to make sure that you have everything kind of set and ready. And the other thing Shane and I learned is that Shane and I still are clowns that do it our way, and it works for us. We don't scream and yell. We don't get pissed at each other. We don't, he doesn't get down on me when I hit a wall twice at Kentucky, not once, twice, and I don't bark at him when I think he makes the wrong call on pit road, or we unload and it doesn't handle quite how I want. That doesn't stress us. That doesn't spaz us out. We learned that Shane and I are still me and Shane, and we're going to do it, the way we think it needs to be done, and we're going to stay patient and stay on each other's team. A lot of pressure comes on these guys, on the crew members, on the crew chiefs, on everybody, and a lot of people succumb to that pressure. And I think Shane and I both just, we just race because we race. And we'll do the same thing this round. We'll do the best we can every round. Don't try to change. Don't show up here thinking that, we haven't won a race all year and thinking that we're going to go beat Kyle Busch, and be the fastest race car out there. We've only been that maybe 1.5 times. So do what we do best, stay within ourselves, and grind out the good finishes and make the bad ones as good as they can. And if we do that, I like our chances to make it to Miami.
Next, Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network, and Kicking the Tires. Along Lee's question there, you've had some fun with your teammates this year, obviously. Has there been any trash talking going on lately with you guys? With you being the more experienced driver in the team.
No, I mean, it's, we have a great relationship. We have a lot of fun, between me and the boys. Me and the recent stuff with me and Brandon. And don't worry, there is payback. It will happen, and I will make sure everybody gets to see it. But it won't be anytime soon, because you have to let him stew on that for a while. Let him hear footsteps. And I sincerely mean it. I think most of you guys, I've been up on stages before where I've said that I thought we sucked, going back years. I normally tell the truth up here. I think that's one thing most guys know. I sincerely like the guys that I race with. I love Austin and Ty, have a great time with Brandon. They're good people to begin with, and to me that's more important than the race car drivers. So we have fun. I try to teach them whenever they want something from me, they know that they can come get it. I am more experienced than they are as far as the years underneath my soles. So whenever they need it, I'm always there to help if they want it. But I'm not there to push it on them and say, "Hey, come listen here, kid." We get along great, and when I'm there if they need me.
Any additional questions? Oh, Brendan? Oh, hold on. Kenny Bruce.
Hey, we always hear about when people talk about Cup drivers coming down and running in the Xfinity Series, that the Xfinity guys are like, oh, it's great to get to run against those guys for the experience and everything. Shouldn't they be getting that experience running against guys like you and Elliott?
Well, Elliott and I aren't in Cup anymore, are we? So, no, I love racing. I don't care where it is. And I think I think fans get upset because media write, that it should or shouldn't, and everybody loves to focus on this. I love racing. I do not want to race against the next best guy. I don't care if I'm back racing in the desert. When I go back racing in the desert, Justin Voss, Rob McCacker, Robbie Gordon, I want to race against them. I don't want to race against, close to them. So, yeah, we're not in Sprint Cup. Understood. It does not mean that I don't want them here racing. It does not mean that I don't like them here racing. They're the best, and you know how you can tell? They come down here and they kick our asses. So guess what? They're that good. Either step up and beat them, or quit whining that they're beating you. They're beating you for a reason. And that's that. I like having them there. I don't think they take our money. I don't think they take our wins. I don't think they do all these terrible things that people love to say. And the best example of that to me was when the IRL was formed. The IRL was formed to give American open wheel drivers a place to race. That was one of the dumbest ideas. Hey, I'm just some kid that never made it, so I can say it was dumb. I thought that was, I wanted to race. You're telling me, hold on, Emerson Fittipaldi and, he's not an American, so the IRL wasn't for him. Come on, give me a break. I want to race against the best race car drivers. I don't want to race against the best subset of race car drivers. So when they're there, I love racing them. When you beat them, it feels even better. Ask Daniel Suarez how it felt to pass his boss on the last lap at Michigan and say, suck it. And that's, I think that was awesome. And so, that's what is even better. When you do go beat Brad Keselowski on a last lap, when you do go beat Kyle Busch, and hand it to him, that is awesome when you get to do it. It's even better. If they're not there, it's still great, but it's even better when they're there. So I don't have the problem that the media or the fans have about racing against Cup drivers.
Any additional questions? Anything more? Is there anything more to say, Brendan?
Love the way you said that.
Okay, good deal. Thanks for joining us today. Good luck this weekend.